everybody, and welcome to Waterways Stage. I'm Sarah Adelaide, and today we are going to work on writing a really good story, because every play has to have a good storyline. So today's segment is called Narrative Arc, otherwise known as Plot Mountain. And we are going to do this through a drawing on my whiteboard here to show you a very simple structure to write a really solid story that will then become your play. And this will be a great tool that you all can use with your own class to come up with your story. So let's start with what every story starts with, which we're going to use very simple terms here. I'm sure you all can know what the story starts with. It would be otherwise known as the beginning or the introduction. So in your beginning, we will have things such as introducing your characters. You will have things like introducing the setting. You want to give your audience an idea of where you are in your story. So if it's in outer space, you might want to mention that there. And so we have characters, we have what we would call the W's. Who, what, where, and when. You want to give introduction to your story here. If there's only one or two characters, that might be pretty brief. You definitely want to introduce your main characters in the beginning. All right, so from the beginning, we start trekking up our plot mountain, and we start going up. This uphill is called the rising action, and we're going to have another scene here. So this would be scene one, the beginning, and we'd have another scene here, and we're going to keep trekking, and we're going to get to the top, and there's going to be a scene there. I'm going to draw the whole mountain and then we'll fill it in. Or arc. Try to make it as symmetrical as possible here. So I think you can probably start to put the pieces together and guess what this might be. And definitely you would know that this would be our end or our resolution. So we'll put end here. Just going to keep it nice and simple. And up here is something, when you're at the top of the mountain in your story, we're going to call that the climax. So at the climax, we'll just review some simple things that might be happening. There might be a battle scene. There's going to be a lot of high tension. There is going to be usually the height of the problem that your story is trying to solve is at the climax. It's high tension, so there might be a thunderstorm or an earthquake or something very intense is happening up there. All right, so then we probably have another scene here. In this rough structure, we're just going to do 5 scenes. You're going to have your beginning. You're going to have the rising action, which leads us up to the climax. Rising action is leading us up to the climax. So here, something might happen that moves the story up to the climax. So our characters are doing something. Maybe they get into a little bit of trouble, and you start seeing that something is happening that is going to be problematic. You guys are going to be doing a 10-minute play, keep that in mind. So 5 scenes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is a good structure to go by. You can certainly have more or less depending on how long your scenes are. So we've already gone over the beginning. Here is scene 2, and you are presenting some kind of problem. You are leading the audience into and up to the climax. And then here you are beginning to, or your characters are beginning to resolve. They set about finding a solution. So this is called the falling action. action, which leads us to our resolution. So here the solutions will start to be presented, the tension will come down, it will be calming, more calming, and at the end you can have whatever kind of ending you want. Doesn't have to be a happy ending, but you have to resolve it in some way. The whole cliffhanger thing doesn't really work with a 10-minute play very well because there's going to be no sequel. So you want to resolve it in some way. All right, so this is it. This is the loose structure. So you can see how simple you want to start. So let's go for a really simple explanation of a story, and I'll fill it in. That gives an idea of what you are then going to be doing with your story ideas. So let's take a story about the tortoise and the hare. Scene 1, it opens up and this overly confident hare challenges this ho-hum tortoise to a race. That's scene 1. We pretty much know who the characters are. Scene 2, the hare charges way in front of the tortoise. And then there's probably a little scene here, or maybe it's in the same scene, where the hare decides he's so far ahead, he's way gonna win this race, that he decides he can just take a nap. So he probably takes a nap somewhere in here. And I think the climax in that storyline is probably when the viewers see the tortoise slowly creeping by the sleeping hare. And so that's the climax in that story. It's not an insane climax, but that's definitely when the tension is probably the highest, because you think, ooh, the tables are turning here. And the falling action in that might be when the hare wakes up and sees that the tortoise is way far ahead of him. And he's just still waking up and he's really groggy. And then when the hare wakes up and sees that the tortoise is way far ahead of him, and he's just still waking up and he's really groggy. And then the resolution or the ending would be when the tortoise wins the race. We know how that one ends. And we get to see the reaction of the hare in that one. And the moral of the story is, of course, as we all know, it's nice to have a story with a takeaway, take-home message, and we know that that one is slow and steady wins the race. So that's a really nice, easy example for this structure. And so what I want you to do in your classroom is brainstorm using this as a structure. You could even, if you want more writing space, although I'd like you to keep the plot scenes explanation to about a sentence, just like hare challenges tortoise to a race, period. So you could even make 5 little bullet points there, and you can write your idea for the beginning in 1 sentence, write your idea for the rising action, for the climax, and you could get together in a group and throw out all your ideas. And in the first initial brainstorm, everybody's idea should be heard and written down. So it might start off a little chaotic, but if you simplify it, this is going to give you the structure of your story. And then it will become easy to write your script. So keep in mind, you can do this several times. This is a rough brainstorm, and then you can whittle down your idea into one finalized one. So be loose and expressive and creative with this initial process. And also keep in mind that this is just a loose structure. I want to say that your mountain might look a little bit more like this. And this is just simply a subplot. So this is a mini climax before it gets to the real climax. So it could be a little different if you have high tension out of the gate at the start, and then it resolves a little bit, and then you have even more tension. So that's one alternative. But what you guys can do in your own classrooms now with this structure and this information is brainstorm simple ideas that could tell a really good story from beginning to climax to end. And now you have all done some of the research on your chosen species. I'm hoping that you have come up with at least 5 facts to integrate and include into the story of your play. So you're gonna, if you want, when you're doing this exercise, you can write those 5 facts, just little bullet points up here, whether it be the river otters feed on fish and frogs, whatever your facts are and that you've come up with as a group. It might be helpful to just write them up here so that when you're brainstorming your story, you might see different opportunities to integrate those facts as you're creatively coming up with your storyline.
Another great way to get inspired to tell your story is through genre, or what type of story you're telling. So there are a lot of different genres, and as you begin to map out your story mountain, it's great to think about what style of story you want. So let's brainstorm some different kinds of styles of stories. So of course there is the musical, and if you're doing a musical, you'd want to include musical numbers. Maybe there are mysteries that are mysterious. You can do a drama. You could do a sci-fi show, a science fiction show. Maybe there's time travel in that genre. There's also genres like a talk show. So maybe your story is set on a talk show. So people have coffee mugs and there's an interviewer and a guest and maybe a musical band or a live audience or some kind of funny thing that happens during the talk show. There's also comedies. So that would be a funny genre, but you could also have a tragedy. And in a tragedy, things do not end well. You could also choose a genre like circus. So if you were choosing a genre like circus, one of your lead characters might be a clown or a ringmaster, or maybe a high-flying trapeze artist, or an elephant. So these are the different kinds of genres, and you can probably think of a lot more kinds of shows that you would want to do. If you have a type of story that you like from a book or from a movie or show you've seen, you can definitely borrow that kind of genre. So your genre might be Harry Potter or My Little Pony. You can still write your own original play based on Harry Potter or another kind of genre of show that you like. So now it's your turn. You get to choose what kind, what style, what genre of story that you want to have for your plot mountain. And as you point out your 5 scenes, you're going to take your 5 fun facts about your species and try to get at least 1 fun fact in each scene.
So, your new Artner challenge is to map out your storyline as a group, hearing the input from all of your classmates. And your teacher can be the scribe, or if there's a student who has great handwriting. And have fun doing this. Once you find out what's happening in each of your 5 scenes and your 5 facts, and you know your genre, you guys are well on your way to creating an amazing original play.
There's no idea too weird or wild. This is a great time to get all your ideas out and put them on the whiteboard or blackboard or on your paper, because you'll be surprised how you can work in all those fun characters. All right, have fun making your plot mountain and finding out what kind of story or genre that you're going to be telling. Have a very merry day!